But I believe that the other side of copyright, the moral side, is just as important. Any artist puts not just effort into their work, but quite a lot of themselves, in fact, into their work. And it may be a unique work, but when an art is sold in a gallery for a six-figure sum, or indeed books like J.K. Rowling's are selling all over the world in dozens of languages, it's clear that the value of that work is largely because of the huge endeavour that that artist has put in. And there is a powerful sense in which it still remains theirs, their offering to the world. And that's, in a sense, what we mean by a moral right. And that's why here in the UK, we think it's important to offer protection for both the economic and moral rights of creators. We protect moral rights in two ways. First, creators have the right to be recognised as the authors of their own work, and that is an inalienable right, even though it's sometimes complicated to apply. And some of you may recall the recent dispute around the 1960s band Procol Harum's work, A Whiter Shade of Pale. Now, many people were thought or alleged to have made a contribution to that very popular piece of music, which involved sampling and questions which were very, very vexed indeed. Second, creators also have the right to uphold the integrity of their work, and this means that they can object to the mutilation, modification, or distortion of their work in a way which is derogatory. And in the UK, these rights are waivable in most cases, and there are some exceptions to them. I know a number of people here today who would really like to change that, of course. And it's a message that I picked up clearly from the work on the government's strategy for copyright in the digital age, which I launched back in 2009. So moral rights have been discussed in Parliament in connection with the Digital Economy Bill, as they have been discussed by those in this room and beyond in relation to how we take forward copyright in the 21st century. And that's why today's event is timely as well as important. SABIP has brought together today some of the leading experts across the field, both academics, practitioners as well, of course, to set the scene for what I think is a long, hard look at moral rights in this country. We are part of a global civilization and share our culture and content internationally. And other nations do take very different views on moral rights, different not just from the UK, but also from each other. There's a vast gulf between the US, say, and French approaches to this issue. Can those be bridged? What can we learn from our neighbours and our friends? What might they learn from us and our approach? Is it problematic that we have such different approaches to this issue at this point in time, particularly where there are global forums? I've been concerned about allowing the space, for example, to discuss non-commercial use of material and pre-commercial use of material. Pre-commercial being very important because without it we don't get the modern companies and innovations that spread creative works that we need. And as you know, this is not just an academic question. It's an issue that affects people in their day-to-day lives. And this is where you, as practitioners from the copyright world can help us to understand how these issues impact on creators and artists in practice, both in terms of how they make a living, but also how they are recognised for their work and how indeed they garner reputations as a consequence. And we need to look at the wider impacts too, alongside the issues creators have raised with me about their lack of attribution and control, if you like, of their works. The copyright strategy also looked at the broader questions that face us at the start of the 21st century. In particular, enforcing rights is important, but it's not a substitute for offering consumers valuable products and services at a price that they are willing to pay. Moreover, clearance of rights takes an incredible amount of time often and costs money. And too much time and too much money can translate into fewer, more expensive products and services. But we also need to know what our options are for going forward and what would be the impact of these various options on our creators, our economy and ourselves as consumers. How do we reconcile the needs of our artists with that of our public? How do we ensure ease of use and access for our students and libraries while respecting the emotional tie of a creator to their work? I've sought over the last couple of years to try and bring closer together the different interests that have existed within the copyright family, which seemed quite far apart at times when I begun this. And I think, in a sense, that the quality of the dialogue and the discussion has improved a lot over this last while. So it's my real hope that as we move in this century from intellectual property issues being purely the domain of the technical, the expert, the lawyer, into this more public arena, that this debate about the moral right alongside the economic right is one that we can have in a more open space, and one that will cut to the heart of how this 21st century does deliver the Francis Bacon's, the Charles Dickens, the modern artists that are able to convey, own, treasure their work, but also find it enjoyed by an increasing amount of people over this next while. Thank you.